healthier.
Yeah, and like we said, we use the plants, we take the leaves off, we strip it back, and all the waste goes back into the soil and recycles the nutrients. We can even take plants surrounding the property and utilize them and make liquid fertilizers using
natural input. It's like local sourcing.
Local sourcing, yeah, and so we can really cut down our costs and improve our health of our plants just off the plants around us, and learning how to companion plant. And as well as that, you could even grow vegetables and other crops with it, so you're not just growing cannabis, which in a normal commercial with synthetic chemicals, the common belief is that we can't put plants together, they'll drain each other, and this system really encourages
plants to work with each other
in symbiosis and really encourage the kind of life that Earth
meant to have, meant to be. It's growing with Mother Nature. That's one of the big cruxes, magical cruxes of organic cultivation. We feel that the future of agriculture, organic is the future of agriculture, especially with the current global green movement. There's a statement that says organic agriculture is the continued worldwide renaissance whose collective goal is to create a better planet. Combine this with cannabis and you can imagine and envision a better future. Climate change and saving the planet are actually big topics that's facing the entire world now, and it's going to continue to in the next 20 years. But again, with the proper know-how, farms can be self-sustaining. We can find ways to counteract this, and Mexico can actually be a worldwide leader in this.
We think Mexico could be the leading in all agriculture if they chose to use this kind of model or use this kind of regenerative or organic type of cultivation and be ahead of the game. Because we already know that a lot of our best crops come out of Mexico.
Yeah, some of the best food, the best crops come from Mexico, and with its long storied history of agriculture, it only makes sense that cannabis would be a part of it in the years to come. And there's really a lot of benefits that could be had for the people of Mexico. Georgia's going to talk a little bit about how we can bring outdoor, indoor, and greenhouse knowledge to Mexico so that it's done right. These are just a few videos that he can touch upon and discuss.
So this is an example of a farm in Northern California. All these big plants, all organic. We don't mix nutrient solutions here. We don't use pesticides here. This is an easily replicatable model. The main system I'd like to push for is kind of a long connected soil of beds. This is an example of a bed with all this cannabis in it. Everything's connected together. There's multiple different strains of cannabis all growing symbiotically together. No input, barely any water. It's a very sustainable system, and you can assure that there's no chemicals in it. And then as well as have other plants growing at the bottom. This system can also be brought into an indoor scenario, and that's what we believe. If you're really trying to achieve the highest quality bag appeal, you can bring in the organic methods, with the earthworms, with our mulch layer,
and replicate it indoors. One of the advantages to the system is we talked about those chemical nitrates or chemical fertilizers. Because we don't use this in the indoor scenario, we're not dumping anything into the sewers. We're only using natural water. The soil's already built and fertilized in a healthy manner where it's biologically diverse. So you really could transfer this system indoors, and you can scale this up to a larger operation. This room is just kind of it's a small experiment that we're running, and we're running this to prove to the world that you can do organic beds inside.
And the benefits, to this organic and synthetic is that you're gonna get higher yield with organic over time. Synthetic, there's a popular belief that you're gonna get higher yields, but this is only a temporary. You get more immediate gains when you use chemical fertilizers, but in the long term, you are actually hurting yourself and working against it. So we not only is this ecologically better, but from an agricultural standpoint, it's less work. and you get more consistent yields over time, and you can grow more diversity in this kind of system. It's just way friendlier and way easier, and you're making things harder on yourselves when we have to supply everything ourselves. This is, I think, the way that
Mother Nature intended. It's essentially enabling Mother Nature to do her work. This is a farm that we work at. We cultivate for a Vietnam veteran with cancer, and he uses medical cannabis as an important part of his daily life, and it's been a real treat to learn so much from growing on his land and learning so much from him. Just to showcase some of these plants, these are some of the nicest plants we've ever grown. Some of these are between 8 to 12 feet, and we couldn't be happier about seeing this organic system really work the way it did.
There no pesticides were involved. It truly, worked. The system worked itself. And the least amount of work we've ever put for any sort of
any cultivation, any of our professional operations. So, one of the big things too is people forget that there is a very important medical side to this. Again, that property was designed for a medical reason for this Vietnam veteran, and the medical cannabis movement, it's quickly becoming a huge medical phenomenon worldwide. You have Forbes and other big publication companies writing articles about,